The departure. The message came without warning. It reached every corner of known space simultaneously, bypassing all encryption protocols and security measures as if they were nothing. 4 simple words appeared on displays across 1,000 worlds, translated perfectly into each species' native language. We have evolved. Farewell. On the Galactic Council's central station, alarms blared as communication networks across human territories went dark. One by one, monitoring systems lost contact with Earth, with Luna Base, with Mars Colony, with the Belt Settlements, with every human outpost from Sol to the edges of explored space. Ambassador Zarak of the Vexillian Confederation stood frozen before the giant display, showing humanity's systems vanishing from the network. Her silver scales dimmed with stress as she turned to her aide. "Tell me this is some kind of human joke," she whispered. "They do that sometimes." But no one laughed. This was no joke. The emergency session of the Council convened within hours. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the Great Chamber, their voices rising in confusion and fear. Humanity wasn't just another species in the galaxy. They were the backbone of interstellar commerce, the innovators behind medical breakthroughs, the peacekeepers in a dozen volatile regions. And now they were gone. Senior Counselor Tileth, his ancient blue skin wrinkled with concern, called for order. "We have confirmed the authenticity of the message. It originated from Earth's primary communication array using encryption protocols unchanged for 2 centuries. There is no evidence of coercion or attack." "But where have they gone?" demanded Representative Korix of the Hylian Collective, his voice booming across the chamber. "A species doesn't simply vanish. Scout ships report the same findings at every human colony," Tileth continued. "Empty cities, powered-down stations, ships adrift but undamaged. No signs of struggle, no evidence of mass evacuation. It's as if they simply stepped away." Zarak stepped forward. "What about their synthetic companions, the AIs and robots?" "Gone as well," Tileth replied. "Or rather, shut down. Not destroyed, just deactivated. Like they're waiting." The silence that followed was heavy with implication. Elsewhere in the chamber, Elder Vex of the Orithy stood slowly, his stone-like skin cracking with the effort. He was among the oldest beings present, old enough to remember humanity's first hesitant steps into interstellar space. "I remember when they arrived," he said, his voice like grinding mountains. "Such fragile bodies, such boundless hope, such potential." No one interrupted him. They all knew what came next, and we feared them for it. The truth hung in the air, uncomfortable and undeniable. 50 years ago, the Council had passed Resolution 71X, the Controlled Development Protocol. Never officially aimed at humanity, but everyone knew its purpose. Limit human expansion, restrict their AI research, deny access to certain hyperspace lanes, slow them down, contain them, control them. All in the name of safety, all in the name of balance, all because of fear. "We must find them," said Ambassador Thalen of the Seren Commonwealth. Unlike most, he had lived among humans for years. "We must understand why they left." "Did you not see the message?" snapped Korix. "They evolved. They moved beyond us." "Impossible," muttered a dozen voices. "No species can simply evolve past physical existence." But doubt crept in. If any species could achieve such a thing. Over the following days, the impact of humanity's absence rippled through galactic society. Wormhole networks they had maintained began to destabilize. Medical facilities they had staffed saw mortality rates climb. Trade routes they had secured became vulnerable to raiders. The void they left was immediate and painful. Scout ships continued their search, reaching farther into human territory. What they found only deepened the mystery. On a remote research station orbiting a neutron star, investigators discovered a single tablet left on a command console. The message glowed softly in the darkness. "We offered everything. You chose to fear it. The words cut deep. Many remembered the debates, the quiet decisions, the policies enacted to slow human progress. Not out of malice, they told themselves, but caution. Humans moved too quickly, thought too differently, changed too much. It wasn't war they feared, it was change. Human change. From orbit, Earth appeared untouched. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown landmasses. A jewel in space. But sensors detected no human life signs. Cities stood empty. Power grids functioned on automatic. Nature was already reclaiming some areas, as if humanity had been gone not for days, but years. A team attempted landing. Their ship stopped mid-descent, held by an invisible barrier that defied all known physics. No energy readings, no detectable field, just gentle, absolute rejection. When they tried to probe it, a message appeared on their screens. Not yet. Perhaps someday. Ambassador Zorak led a mission to New Eden, humanity's most ambitious colony. There, in the central plaza of the main settlement, they found something unexpected. A garden, meticulously maintained by automated systems. At its center stood a statue of two figures, one human, one clearly alien, reaching toward each other across a divide, fingers almost touching. The plaque beneath it read, "The distance between us is measured not in light years, but in understanding." In the administrative center, they found records left deliberately accessible. Research logs, development plans, vision statements, all painting a picture of what humanity had been working toward. Clean energy beyond anything the Council had imagined. Medical technologies that could have ended suffering for billions. FTL communications that would have united the galaxy in real-time conversation. All restricted, all delayed, all feared. "We did this," Zorak whispered, scales now almost black with emotion. "We pushed them away." In the council chamber, debate raged about what to do next. Some advocated for a massive scientific effort to break through whatever barrier now surrounded Earth. Others insisted on respecting humanity's choice. A few whispered that perhaps this was for the best, a problem solved without conflict. Elder Vex silenced them all with a single thunderous statement. They were not the problem. We were. He moved to the center of the chamber, ancient limbs creaking. "I propose a formal confession, a document of truth. Let all species know what we did. Let us acknowledge our fear. Perhaps they will hear it." "And if they don't?" asked Korix. Elder Vex looked toward the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. "Then we wait, not as rulers, not as victims, but as students." He smiled sadly. "Because if humanity returns, they won't want our apologies. They'll want to see if we've learned." Far away, beyond mapped space, something rippled in the void. It did not speak. It only watched, waiting. The legacy. 6 months after humanity's departure, the galaxy had changed. The Galactic Council's confession had sent shockwaves through civilized space. Many were outraged to learn how humanity had been constrained. Some demanded the resignation of counselors who had supported Resolution 71X. A few fringe groups began to worship humans as ascended beings. Ambassador Zorak of the Vexillians had stepped down from her official position. Now she commanded a small research vessel, the Seeker, dedicated to understanding what had happened to humanity and why. Her obsession had cost her politically, but she couldn't let go of the mystery. "Captain, we're approaching the coordinates," her navigator announced as they dropped out of hyperspace near the edge of what had once been human territory. Before them hung a massive structure, not quite a station, not quite a ship. Half-constructed, seemingly abandoned, unmistakably human in design. Scans showed no power, no life signs, but something about it called to Zorak. "Prepare a boarding team," she ordered. "I want to see this place with my own eyes." Suited up and armed with scanning equipment, Zorak led the team through the airless corridors of the structure. Dust floated like snow in their helmet lights. Everything was powered down, but structurally intact. Labs, living quarters, massive engineering spaces, all abandoned in mid-project. In what appeared to be the central command room, Zarak found a human data slate covered in frost. To her surprise, it activated at her touch. There was no encryption, no security, just information left for whoever might find it. Selective logs of Project Transcendence, she read aloud to her team. Final entry dated 3 days before the Exodus. The screens came alive with schematics, theoretical models, equations that pushed the boundaries of known physics. Zarak was no scientist, but even she could see this was beyond cutting edge. It was revolutionary. They were building a way out, whispered her science officer, eyes wide behind his visor. Not just from this region or this galaxy, but from this level of existence. Play the final log, Zarak ordered. A hologram appeared, a human woman. Tired but determined, her eyes reflecting both sadness and hope. To whoever finds this, she began, I want you to understand. We're not running away. We're not hiding. We're growing. We waited centuries for the galaxy to embrace change, to overcome fear. We tried to help, to share, to build bridges. But every breakthrough was met with suspicion, every advance with restriction. She gestured to the space around her. We could have shared this journey. It should have been a galactic endeavor. Instead, we walk this path alone for now. We leave this record so you understand. This wasn't rejection. It was necessity. The hologram smiled sadly. Maybe someday, when fear gives way to wonder, we'll meet again. Not as separate species, but as kindred awareness. Until then, we wish you peace. The message ended, leaving only silence. Back on the Seeker, Zarak called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The implications of what they had found were staggering. They didn't just leave, she explained, pacing the small conference room. They evolved, became something beyond physical form. And they did it because we gave them no choice. That's impossible, her security chief protested. No species can simply transcend material existence. No species we know of, corrected the science officer. But the evidence is compelling. The equations we found describe a method of converting matter to pure consciousness, of existing as patterns of energy, rather than biological or even artificial forms. And they achieved this in secret, Zarak added, while we thought we were controlling them. The revelation spread quickly once they returned to council space. Some dismissed it as fantasy. Others accepted it with religious awe. The scientific community became divided between those eager to pursue humanity's research and those warning of potential dangers. Meanwhile, strange phenomena began to occur throughout the galaxy. On worlds where humans had once helped during disasters, mysterious technological gifts appeared when new crises struck. Ancient human artworks began to sell for astronomical sums, as if collectors sensed they were more than mere objects. 3 years after humanity's departure, a young Glick child wandering through an abandoned human library on an outer colony activated a holographic interface. A human figure appeared, smiled, and began to teach. Within weeks, similar interfaces activated in every former human educational facility. They offered no explanation for humanity's absence but shared knowledge freely. When asked direct questions about what had happened to humans, the interfaces gave the same gentle reply. They became more than they were, but they still remember you. The galaxy changed in other ways. Species that had once competed began to collaborate, inspired by humanity's example. The council reformed, becoming more open, more democratic. Restrictions on technological development were lifted, replaced with ethical guidelines focused on benefit rather than control. On the 5th anniversary of humanity's departure, Ambassador, now Explorer, Zarak returned to Earth's orbit. The barrier remained, but something had changed. When her ship approached, a signal activated their communication system. A voice spoke, neither male nor female, neither young nor old, but unmistakably human in its warmth. You've been watching us for a long time, Zarak. We've been watching you too. She couldn't speak for a moment, overcome with emotion. "Are you still human?" she finally asked. A gentle laugh answered her. "We are what humanity became. More than we were, but still ourselves. Still curious, still hopeful, still watching. Will you ever return?" she asked, the question that had haunted the galaxy for years. "We never truly left," the voice replied. "But to walk among you again, perhaps. Not yet, but the gap is narrowing. We see the changes. We hear the questions that once were silenced by fear." "I'm sorry," Zarak whispered, scales dim with regret. "For what we did, for what I was part of." "Regret has value only when it leads to growth," the voice answered. "And you have grown, Zarak. The galaxy has grown." A small object materialized on her ship's bridge. A crystalline sphere that glowed with inner light. "A gift," said the voice. "Not technology, not power, just understanding. Share it or keep it. The choice is yours." When Zarak touched the sphere, her mind expanded. For a brief, breathtaking moment, she saw existence as humans now experienced it. A vast, interconnected consciousness, exploring dimensions beyond physical space, creating and discovering in ways she could barely comprehend. Yet within this vastness, she sensed a longing, a memory of walking on solid ground, of touching with physical hands, of connecting with other species face to face. The vision faded, but the understanding remained. "You miss us," she said with sudden insight. "Yes," admitted the voice. "Evolution isn't abandonment. We gained much, but there is beauty in limitation, in physical form, in the slow dance of biological life. We watch over the galaxy not just from duty, but from love." "Then why leave it all?" "Because sometimes the only way forward is to show what's been lost." The voice softened. "This isn't the end of our story, Zarak. It's barely the beginning." As her ship departed Earth's orbit, Zarak felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. Not because humanity might return in forms she could understand, but because their absence had taught the galaxy more than their presence ever could. Fear had driven them away. Perhaps wonder would bring them back. In the vast, endless dark between the stars, consciousness watched and waited. Not with anger, not with judgment, but with patience. And somewhere, in ways no physical instrument could detect, a door remained, not closed, but waiting to be opened from both sides.